last month on a visit to Jamaica, I had an amazing opportunity to experience time travel. I was sent back in time to the year 1492. There, I encountered people called the Taino tribe. It was an amazing sight, unlike what we're led to believe that they were savages. I realized that they were a thriving, well organized society. They had a chief called the Kanku, who was like the president, well, more the prime minister, and the sub chief, or the sub Q, is like the vice president or the governor. The more I observed them, the more I saw that some of their influence can be still seen in today's culture in Jamaica, even most of the Caribbean that they had settled. For example, they played a sport that they called batos. That this is a ball game that is played by two teams made up of 10 to 30 players. The players had to keep the ball in motion using any part of their body except their hands. Today we have come to know this type of sport as football. When they were not playing any sport, they would enjoy music, singing, and dancing. One of the instruments they loved to play was the mayukan, that was made of a thin piece of wood that was about 1 meter long and half a meter wide. Today we know that mayukan as the wooden drum. I was absolutely amazed when I recognized that the Taino barely wore any clothing. The men wore loin clothing while the married women wore small skirts that was called anagui. They would cover themselves in black paint from a local fruit called the ginnap. They would also paint their skin red from an amtol seed, all just to make themselves seem fearful in the eyes of their enemy. They also wore jewelry such as earrings, nose rings, and necklaces. And in today's culture, we still wear some of the styles or designs of the jewelry that the Tainos did. The one thing I saw that was strange is that they would shape the heads of the newborn with two wooden planks. The religion was something of a question. They worshipped spirit called the Zemis. They only had one person appointed to communicate with the Zemis, and that was the priest. The Zemis represented the sky god and the earth goddess. For the priest to communicate with the Zemis, they would use a long wooden stick that was then stuck down their throat to make themselves vomit. They would smoke tobacco. By doing this, they believed that they would get vision from the Zemis. A type of smoking for religious purpose is now practiced in Jamaica today by a religion sect called Rastafarianism. When it comes to their food, they love to eat lots of fruits and vegetables such as cassava and corn. They were great with farming, especially since this was the main source of their food. They would even make intoxicating drinks from the fruit and vegetable. Since Tainos were good hunters and fishermen, they would eat lots of meat and agouti and iguana and fish. They ate their meat mostly roasted with lots of pepper and salt. Today, this type of preparation can be tasted in Jamaica's jerk chicken. The Taino also had to be admired for their extremely well engineered house that they built. The families would live in a house called Canai, which was situated close to the sea. The houses were normally built with wooden poles that were put in the ground in a circle with canes woven, then which was tied with creepers. The chief, who was called the Kanku, lived in a house called the Boyo. The Kanku had the largest house in the community. His house, however, was rectangular as to distinguish his from the others. This inside of the house had very few furniture, such as hammocks, stools, a few pots that were made from well-baked clay. And it is unfortunate that so many of their culture and practices have been erased, but we Jamaicans are very proud of the Taínos. It is really sad that we're not able to find most of the Taino people today in normal everyday life. We are just grateful for a few practices incorporated into our culture. This is Tehilla Marcelle reporting live from Hampton, Jamaica on behalf of CCN TV 6 News.